This is CPM Precalculus, Chapter 2, Number 40. So we're asked to factor each expression. So when we're factoring, we're basically looking for what are the multiples that are x to the fourth and 81y to the fourth, and what are those in common, right? Because we want to basically split this expression up into terms that multiply by each other, okay? So first thing you need to do is, are there any common terms in here, right? So let's look. The first thing is x to the fourth, so that's just x times x times x times x, right? Minus 81. Well, I know 81 is 9 times 9, right? 81, 9 times 9. Well, I know 9 is 3 times 3. So that's going to be 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, right? Because 9 times 9 is 3 times 3. And another one is 3 times 3. Okay, then we're going to multiply times y times y times y times y, right? So are there anything that we see common in these two? No, right? There are not. So that means we cannot factor anything out. Okay, so how do we proceed? Well, another thing to look for, right? We're going to look for common factors, like basically things that we could divide into all the terms, or we want to also look for difference of two squares. Okay, so if we take the square root of x to the fourth, that's just x squared, right? So x to the fourth is the same as x squared squared, right? You can even see here, this is going to be x squared times x squared, right? So there's two of them. Minus, well, what do we see here? There's going to be 3 times 3 squared and y times y squared, which is going to be 9y squared, right? If you square 9, you get 81. You square 9y squared squared. You square y squared and you get 4, y to the fourth. Okay? So now this looks like the difference of two squares, right? And we know that once we get a difference of two squares, meaning we subtract a squared term minus another squared term, we just go ahead, add them, and subtract them. So the squared terms are x squared here and 9y squared here, x squared again, 9y squared here. Okay? So once you're done with that, you still need to look, are there any common factors? So always check these two things again. Well, x squared and 9y squared do not have any common factors. Again, they don't. But is there a difference of the squares? Okay, so do we have a difference of two squares? Well, here it's adding, so no. Here it's subtracting, and this is x squared, and this is, what is this? Well, 3 squared is 9, and y squared is y squared. So that is the difference of two squares. So let's rewrite this, right? This is just going to be x squared minus 3y squared, okay? So this gives us another difference of squares, and we know that that's going to turn into adding, right, and subtracting those terms. So that's going to be x plus 3y and x minus 3y. All right? And so this right here, we go back and check, can we do any factoring, right? Can we do any factoring of any of these terms? Or is there a difference of two squares here? Well, there's a difference here, but are these two squares? No. So once we've kind of covered those bases for now, we can go ahead and say, well, that is our factored expression. Okay, so box our answer. Let's go on to part B. Again, how do we start these? We look for common factors. So what is 8? 8 is 2 times 2 times 2. Those are all prime factors. X cubed is x times x times x plus 2 times 7 x's. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? So what is common in both of these? Well, both have a 2 and both have 3 x's, right? So we can take the 2 out and 3x's. Let's just say x cubed, right? And what are we left with here? We're going to be left with just 2 times 2, which is 4. Plus, if we took a 2 out and 3x's here, what are we left with? We're just left with 4x's, x to the 4th, right? So then, how do we factor this term out of both of them? Well, we write it up front, and it's going to be multiplied by this term, 4, plus this term, x to the 4th. Okay? So that's how we pull out the term 2x cubed, and this is factoring out 2x cubed from 8x cubed plus 2x to the 7th. Okay? So then we go ahead and look, well, are there any common factors inside our parentheses still? Okay, so we check these things, and is there the difference of two squares? So no and no. There's going to be other things to check later, but for now, let's just check those. And once we answer no, no, then we're done, right? We box our answer, and this is the factored expression of 8x cubed plus 2x to the 7th, okay? So this ends CPM Precalculus Chapter 2, number 40.